I'm not usually very good at expressing my gratitude for the people that I care about, but I would like to say thank you to Coach. I think he's had a bigger role in my life than he realizes. Okay. As we leave high school, we need to make our voices heard. Today, I was going to talk about TV and media and content because it's something that's very important to me. However, under light of recent events, it feels wrong to talk about anything but what is currently affecting me and millions of other women in the state. Recently, the heartbeat bill was passed in Texas. Starting in September, there will be a ban on abortions after 6 weeks of pregnancy, regardless of whether the pregnancy was a result of rape or incest. 6 weeks. That's all women get. And so before they realize, most of them don't realize that they're pregnant by 6 weeks. So before they have a chance to decide if they are emotionally, physically, and financially stable enough to carry out a full-term pregnancy, before they have the chance to decide if they can take on the responsibility of bringing another human being into the world, that decision is made for them by a stranger. A decision that will affect the rest of their lives is made by a stranger. I have dreams and hopes and ambitions. Every girl graduating today does. And we have spent our entire lives working towards our future. And without our input and without our consent, our control over that future has been stripped away from us. I am terrified that if my contraceptives fail, I am terrified that if I am raped, then my hopes and aspirations and dreams and efforts for my future will no longer matter. I hope that you can feel how gut-wrenching that is. I hope you can feel how dehumanizing it is to have the autonomy over your own body taken away from you. And I'm talking about this today, on a day as important as this. On a day honoring 12 years of hard academic work, on a day where we are all gathered together, on a day where you are most inclined to listen to a voice like mine, a woman's voice, to tell you that this is a problem, and it's a problem that cannot wait. And I cannot give up this platform to promote complacency and peace when there is a war on my body and a war on my rights. A war on the rights of your mothers, a war on the rights of your sisters, a war on the rights of your daughters. We cannot stay silent. Thank you.
All right, so everybody, thanks so much for listening to Fire Breathing Rob. If you're listening to us for the first time, thanks so much. Please like, subscribe, share. We're on the podcast, we're on the radio, we're on, well, you can watch us on the TV, on YouTube. So definitely check us out on all these different platforms. And this is, again, Paxton Smith. She is a UT student, and she really did speak the truth about what is going on, especially in Texas right now with this heartbeat bill in June. So Paxton, thanks so much for coming on and really speaking the truth at your graduation. And you got a lot of guts to do that. I don't think I could do that as a 17, 18-year-old high school student. So thanks so much for doing what you did.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me onto this podcast.
All right, awesome. So let's go into this. So, I did give the viewers a brief description about yourself. Did you want to go into any more detail about telling the viewers a little bit about you?
I mean, I think you summed it up pretty well. I am a abortion rights activist and musician. I'm from Dallas, Texas. In addition to my activism, I am currently working on a book called A War on My Body, and that does talk about abortion in greater detail. It covers a lot of stories that are not usually covered or centered in the abortion topic, but are incredibly important.
When you got onto the UT campus, were you like kind of a celebrity for standing up and really, standing out, I guess, during your graduation as far as that goes?
Sometimes I do get treated like a celebrity.
Okay. Well, that's positive because, like, like I said, that's really impressive that you did that. So, as we keep going into this, what got you into political issues at such a young age? We are seeing a lot of kids that are 16 through 18 really step up. We saw the Sunrise movement, a lot of younger people really step up as far as climate change. But in general, as a person from Texas, which is a very right-leaning state, what made you step up and stand out as far as political issues go?
To me, I don't think abortion is a political issue, and I don't think it ever should have been made a political issue. To me, it is a human rights issue, and it transcends left versus right, Republican versus Democrat.
Paxton Smith here, she's a UT student. She really stood up against this heartbeat bill, and she's still standing up. She's writing a book, and we're going to tease that again as the interview goes on. Paxton, I want to talk about this, to go back to the speech. And I watched your speech online, and you say at the beginning that you were going to talk about media and other different topics in your speech. How did you really have the guts and basically the cojones to go up there in front of your own peers, in front of adults that who knows what they thought about this topic, whether they believed like you believed or they did not believe the same about that topic? How did you get the cojones to go up there and do that in front of all these thousands of people in general?
Gosh, for me, doing what I did was a very black and white issue. I was raised on the premise of always do the right thing, even when it sucks. And so to me, it felt wrong to talk about anything else when I had the opportunity to say anything to thousands of people at one time and they had to listen to what I had to say. It felt wrong to bring up anything other than that. And so I really wanted to bring attention to the issue. So that's what I chose to do.
Were you worried about someone coming up and trying to throw you off the stage or them cutting the mic?
Absolutely. Yes, actually. You'll notice a couple of times I look to the different sides of the stage to see what's happening. And towards the end of the speech, they were making the gesture for the microphone to get cut off. I knew that they were supposed to cut off the microphone if I went off script, but I felt that it was so important that that got said that I went ahead and went for it anyways.
Who are the people that were trying to knock you off the stage? Was it someone that was in the district? Was it a teacher? Was it, a principal? Did you know who it was personally, or?
I have no idea who it was. I just
Okay.
remember seeing them, but I don't know how they were connected to the school.
Okay. Now, I read an article that said that people were threatening you after the speech, saying that you were not going to graduate. Can you
Oh,
talk a
yes.
little bit
Okay.
about that, please?
Yes, so right after I gave the speech, I went ahead and I walked the stage. And on my way back up to the stage, the valedictorian is supposed to sit on the stage for the entire ceremony. A couple of ladies pulled me aside and they told me that the school was considering withholding my diploma. Luckily, that did not end up happening. I have it, and I graduated just fine.
Right. And you're at University of Texas, which is a great school. So hook 'em horns. I'll give you
Uncle
that.
Horn.
Okay. But we'll move on. How do you feel like that speech has affected your life, or has it affected? I know you said, some kids at UT know who you are and, they are proud of you. Has it affected your life in any way, positive or negative in general?
I think my life has significantly shifted since then. I do a lot more work when it comes to activism, just continuing to bring attention to the issue, continuing to talk about it. And so I think that is the biggest shift, is that that's what I spend a lot of my free time working on.
Okay. Now, has there been any negative attention after that appeared?
Of course, there's always a little bit of negative attention. You could do anything and there would be negative attention. In general, the vast majority of the attention that the speech has gotten and the attention that I have gotten as a result has been overwhelmingly positive, and I'm incredibly grateful for that.
But nothing extreme like threats or anything, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Oh,
I mean, there are like a couple of threats in there, but there's no way for them to really find me. So I
Right.
think they'd have a difficult time following through on them.
It's scary how people are so fixated on these issues. So my question is, when we go back to this issue of the heartbeat bill, can you tell a lot of people that are maybe uneducated on all the nits and crannies of the bill, what it really does as far as it affecting women in general in Texas?
Yeah, for sure. So the heartbeat bill is a piece of legislation that bans abortion in Texas starting at 6 weeks of pregnancy, regardless of whether that pregnancy was a result of rape or incest.
Mhm.
The unique thing about this abortion ban is that it is not enforced by the state, but it is enforced by private citizens. So essentially, any citizen has a right to sue someone who they suspect helped another person get an abortion. So this can include anyone, including somebody who maybe gave that pregnant person counseling, or even the Uber driver who dropped them off at their appointment for an abortion. And um, one of the biggest things about the bill as well is the time at which it cuts off abortion, 6 weeks. Many, if not most people, do not realize that they are pregnant by 6 weeks. So they do not have that choice. That choice is taken out of their hands before they even have a chance to think about it, and it is put in the hands of a stranger.
Are you worried about copycat laws? I mean, I'm in Florida and we have a great governor. He's a real beauty, Ron DeSantis, who is also running around now saying he's pro-life, and he wants to, copycat this law. We're also seeing other states all across the country wanting to copycat this law. Are you worried about this? And then the Supreme Court's already said they're not going to step in, period.
I am very worried about that. I think a lot of states are going to use what Texas did as the blueprint, because Texas is not the first state to try to enact a heartbeat bill, but it is the first to go through. And it is because of the way that they've written the legislation that it was able to go through, and that it was so difficult to bring a case together against the law. Whether SCOTUS steps in the future, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I hope that they do, and I hope that they rule based on the principles of the Constitution.
Let's finish off the interview talking about this. Are there any protests or any kind of actions against this law right now? I mean, I know it's pretty much fully in effect right now in Texas. I believe it passed in June. You can correct me if I'm wrong because you're there. But is there any kind of protest or any kind of way? I know Governor Abbott is pretty, much in the tank for this. So is there any way you guys can do anything or are doing anything as far as an action?
There are a lot of protests here, very many protests at the Capitol. I don't know if there's anything that boots on the ground people can do to necessarily block the law. I know that there was a whistleblower website set up by pro-life organizations where you could essentially whistleblower people who you think were helping people get abortions. So I know that pro-choice activists have absolutely flooded that website with fake accusations to muddy the waters. And I know that that website is probably not going to last much longer. But that's all that I can think about at the top of my head.
Again, people that are just tuning in, this is Paxton Smith, and she is a UT student and abortion activist. We talked to her a little bit about the issues with the heartbeat bill and how that's affecting Texas. And also now it's going to affect a lot of states all around the country coming up. So, as we end the interview, Paxton, what would you want the viewers that are listening to you in this interview to take away from it as far as abortion rights and the heartbeat bill goes in general?
I don't know if there's necessarily one takeaway that I would have people that I want to take away about abortion in particular, but when it comes to using people's voice, I think there is something that I want them to take away from that, in that no matter how big or small you are in terms of social circles or air quotes importance, people listen to you and people watch your actions and they remember them. And whether or not they repost what you said, change their mind because of what you said, or agree with what you said, doesn't change the fact that your words and actions sit with them and your words and actions have an impact on them. So I hope that, sometimes it can feel like whenever you're advocating for something, you're screaming into a void, but those words go somewhere.
But Paxton Smith, again, on Fire Breathing Rob. Paxton, thanks so much. And again, if you're listening to us, please like, subscribe, and definitely share this interview and get this out to as many people as possible, because it's really important, especially at this time in our country with so many issues going on, which it's really sad. But Paxton, thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk with me.
Thank you so much.